This is probably one of the most important videos that I'm going to make. It's not going to be as long as it usually is, but it's on the concept of leverage. And it's so important that you watch and you understand this because if you've ever wondered why some people build their agency or any business bigger, faster, and with seemingly less effort, it's because of this. It's because they are properly incorporating leverage into their marketing funnel. It's so important that you understand this and actually do it because the results are going to be shocking to you. You're going to think that something is wrong or something is weird is happening to you when really you just implemented these 4 different types of leverage and you're going to go faster than you ever thought before. So you see the 4 types of leverage at the very top of the picture here. We have media leverage, we have capital leverage, labor leverage, and code leverage. So this is from an Alex Hormozi, graphic, and I think he just explained it beautifully. So I'm going to do it here and apply it specifically to a marketing agency and specifically to 1000x leads because it's just so important. Now, this is not leverage that you'd use when you're trading crypto or stocks. It's not that kind of leverage. It's business leverage. It's the difference between what you put in and what you get out in the most simple terms. So we have our media, we have our capital, we have our labor, we have our code. The more leverage and the more different types of leverage we implement, the bigger we'll go. The problem with a lot of people is they don't have something like this. They just might run cold emails to try to get on calls, and they struggle because there's absolutely no leverage in there. Same with people who build their business solely off referrals and they can't seem to get it bigger. There's no leverage in referrals. So I'm going to teach you exactly what to do for each types and try to break it down for you and get the phrase in your head, the difference between what you put in and what you get out, because that is going to be a key or a theme to this entire video and something that you should probably internalize if you want to do this kind of stuff. We've all heard, or most of us have heard at this point, the quote from Archimedes. He was an ancient Greek philosopher. "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." It's exactly what can happen when you have this kind of leverage in your business. The difference, in my view, and my experience working with thousands of agencies at this point, is the difference between the top 99% and the top 99.99% is many, many, many times greater than the difference between the bottom 1% and the top 99.9%. It's hard to believe, but it is actually true. And that's because the top 99.99% incorporate so much more of this leverage into their agency. So this is a good picture that I found on Google. The difference between what you put in and what you get out. So you put in a little bit of money or whatever, and you get a lot in return. That is the gist of what we're going for. And the problem with a lot of people is this drawing is more like either just flat, like you put in $1 or 1 unit worth of time, energy, money, and you get 1 in return. Or for a lot of people, it's actually you put in 1 unit of time or energy or money and you get, 50 cents in return. Like that is the situation for a lot of people, might be the situation for you. And that's why the first step to making this not the situation, if this is you, is understanding, what actually has to be done. So let's get that off the screen now. A different way to visualize this is a golfer. I think it's just important to visualize this many ways possible. A golfer has a club, and the club allows the same golfer to probably hit the golf ball 100 times further because there's a longer lever. The golf club is the lever in this point, and his arms and his shoulders are the fulcrum, I guess you could say. Maybe not. Hopefully, we'll just pretend that's the case. But imagine if the golfer was just kicking the ball or swinging his arm as if it was a club. It would go 10, maybe 20 yards at most, but a professional golfer with a driver at least can hit the ball 300 plus yards. Like, we're kind of applying this concept to our agency in a way by adding the media leverage, the capital leverage, the labor leverage, and the code leverage. Instead of being able to make $100,000 a year or $200,000, we're able to make millions of dollars per year. And I'm going to show you, and hopefully you can understand by the time this video is done exactly what I mean. So basically what I've done is I've broken down the 4 types of leverage and some examples. So this video is not going to be crazy long, but it's going to be crazy valuable. Like I said before, the difference between the top 99.9% and the top 99.99% is huge. And it's much, much greater than the difference between the bottom 1% of agencies, the loser agencies, the ones that barely make rent, and the top 99.9%. So here are some ways to do it. I broke it down. So these are just some examples too, and this is going to show you why like the stuff that I tell you to do in these videos is so important. This stuff, it's just so important. And let's drag this image down here as well, or copy and paste it. So there's types of media leverage, and this is why it's working. So you have a newsletter. Your email list is a very tangible, real asset. You write your newsletter once and it delivers to 1,000 people. You don't have to write the email 1,000 times. You are getting more out than you put in. If you have 100,000 people in your email list, you spend 15 minutes writing an email, 100,000 people are reading your thoughts in 15 minutes plus another 5 minutes to send it. That's media leverage. YouTube video, you record it once and thousands of people view it. The video you're watching right now, I'm not individually getting on Zoom or something and explaining this to 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 or however many people end up watching this video in its lifetime. I'm recording it once, putting it on YouTube, and thousands of people are going to watch it. I'm getting more out than I put in. It's going to take me an hour to do it, and the watch time is probably going to be 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 hours over the course of its lifetime. Social media content, we can post on Twitter or LinkedIn and Instagram or whatever and repurpose the same content across platforms and get attention from thousands of people simultaneously. In the time it takes to write one tweet, we are getting thousands of people to see it, maybe some people learning about us for the first time. We're getting more out than we put in. Your conversion mechanisms in the funnel. So far we've gone over newsletter, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We're getting more than we put in. It's so important to understand this. Your conversion mechanisms. If you have a super quality pre-recorded webinar or a live workshop and they make it possible to sell at scale, you are getting more out than you put in. Instead of having to do 1,000 individual sales calls, if you have a webinar that can do it for you, you're saving time, you're saving money, and it's a form of media leverage. All 4 of these things, media, and these are just 4 examples. You could apply this to whatever you want, but we got to stop somewhere for the video. When you write a newsletter, when you make a video, when you post on social media, when you make a great webinar, you are getting more out than you put in. You only have to write the newsletter once. You only have to make the video once. You only have to post it once. You only have to make the webinar once. But it will serve you for a long period of time. You're getting way more out than you put in. And that is the whole important part. And I'm just going to keep repeating that until you're kind of annoyed. For capital leverage, what are the different types of capital leverage? That would imply that we're getting more money for the same work or the same effort. Your ad funnel. If you have an ad funnel that you put $1 in an ad spend and it gives you $2 or more in return, that's a form of leverage. Your money is working for you. You're getting more out than you put in. When we build our funnel and we generate tons and tons of leads, we're inverting the laws of supply and demand. There's now more demand from our services than there is supply. We can now charge a premium for the same thing. Now we are getting more out in terms of money for the same amount of service we provide. When we have this funnel, we have so many different ways and paths to acquire customers. We're going to acquire customers for cheaper than others. Our paid ads, our content, our outreach, our partnerships are working together. We'll have the same revenue and less expenses. We're getting more out now than we put in by building this funnel. Next to the concept of labor leverage. If we have a training system, we have a great training system that we can put almost anybody through and train them to be a superstar employee. Let's say we're paying them $60,000 and we put them through and they get the same amount of done and their same skill set as a $120,000 a year employee. We're now getting more out than we put in. That's why training is so important. This funnel is set up to be, build it once and then it's very much easier to keep it going. And we can hire overseas talent in a lot of cases. If we train them properly and set themselves up, we can hire overseas talent to help us run this for a fraction of the price. We are getting the same amount of labor for less cost. We're now getting more out than we put in. Partnerships is one of the biggest ones. Partnerships are taking advantage of other people's time and effort. If we have 50 partners and we're one person, we're now still one person, but we're taking advantage and we're getting the labor of 51 people because we have 50 partners. We're putting in one labor, we're getting 51 out. We're getting more out than we put in. And code with AI. If you can get AI to do X, Y, and Z for you as part of this funnel, you're getting the task done faster with less cost. You don't have to hire someone to do that anymore. You're getting more out than you put in. For cold email, you can scrape tens of thousands of leads and send tens of thousands of cold emails automatically. You don't have to send them one by one anymore. You are getting way more out than you put in. Your automations, you can automate tasks that you had previously had to do. Your tasks will probably be more accurate with automations, less human error. They'll be faster and less cost. You're getting more out than you put in. So hopefully this is going to be a rather short video compared to some of them, but this is why people go bigger, faster, with less effort than you. And if you're wondering, like in one of my videos, I did 0 to 900K a month case study for myself. This is why. I had all 4 types of leverage. My ad funnel was going crazy. My partnerships were going crazy. I had a huge newsletter. I was getting way more out than I put in. I'm one person, but I'm probably getting out the equivalent of 200 people's effort just by focusing on the right high leverage tasks. And that's what's so important about it. If we get a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, we will be able to move the world. Media, capital, labor, and code are our leverage, and our marketing funnel is going to be the fulcrum. And that's why it's so important to create something like this and add all of this stuff together, because you will be able to get a result like that one day. You will be on the right side here, the top 99.99%. I hope this video was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.